So this is just a quick note on the mobile app development. Total, there are three types of mobile apps. First of all, the native app, web apps, and hybrid apps. I'll discuss one by one later on. So native apps means they are so much efficient in terms of performance because they use more CPU and means they are faster. And why they are faster? Because they are built specifically for that operating system. For example, if I want to make an weather application using native app development, then what I have to do, I have to build an separate application for Android users, the users that use Android operating system on their phone or device, and separate application for iOS users, the Apple company, which you know. So what happens that the cost of development increases because we have to create two apps in this case, one for the Android users and one for the iOS users. And if we run the app which is used for the Android users on the iOS phone, then it would not work fine because the configuration of each operating system is different. So the pros and cons of this native app development is that, first of all, we will discuss the advantages. Now, it is faster and better in performance. Why? Because they are specifically designed to operate with that operating system. If I want to build an weather application in Android phone, then it will be specifically designed according to the Android model. Same for the iOS model. And native UI. Now, what does mean this native UI? Sorry, that it creates an feeling whenever you use an application, the buttons, the interfaces, it is native, means it seems familiar to us. And it can also access various features. That's another thing I'll discuss it. And the disadvantage, as I told, that higher cost to maintain. As I told, that we have to build two types of app in this case. First for the Android users, second for the iOS users. And as we have created the two apps, we have to also maintain those apps, as we have two of them. And also it takes up space in the device, means why it takes up the space, as it is designed for that specific operating system. It takes the whole advantage of that operating system, which is a good part, but though it takes more space. And secondly, we will discuss web apps. Now, web apps are nothing but the websites which are super responsive. Now, by super responsive, what do I mean? That they are simple websites, but they look good on mobiles. Means whenever we look a website, we feel that it's an app, not an website. Uh, so technologies used in this web apps are HTML, CSS, JavaScript, the same thing which we need in making simple websites. And yeah, the technologies used in these what we say native apps are for Android. The most popular is Kotlin, which is an upgraded version of Java. And for iOS, the Apple devices, it's, I believe, C Sharp and Swift. Yeah. So web apps are pretty simple. They take less space because they are just website which are super responsive. The one disadvantage of this web apps is that they can't use the whole CPU, or they can't take the whole advantage of that operating system, because at last they are web apps and they can only access some things. So we will discuss the pros and cons. Web based performs, means the advantage is that when a web page can be displayed on any device, whether it is an Android device or it is an iOS device. So we don't need to make two apps like we made it in the native app development. So we can use the same app on the Android device and the same app on the iOS device, and it is easier to maintain because it's an just simple website with super responsiveness, and user don't run out of storage. As I told you that it's a simple app with some responsiveness and some caching. And cons are dependent on a browser. Yeah, now whenever we build an web page, it depends on the browser that how it would run and how it would response, and needs an internet connection. Now nowadays means it's not necessary that any web app needs an internet connection, because needs an internet connection because there are some techniques of caching. Means it would store up some data which would be displayed on the app, and it would feel like it is there from first. And thirdly, hybrid apps. Now what does this hybrid app means that this can run on both Android devices and iOS devices. Now these were specially designed to run on the Android devices and iOS devices because of the development cost. Because of this, we don't need to make separate apps for both the operating systems, but we could make one app and it would run on the both the operating systems pretty good. So one of the disadvantage of this hybrid apps is that it can't give us the performance that native app gives us, because native apps are generally designed to that specific operating system. But what does this hybrid apps do, that they work fine, but at last they are not specifically designed for that specific operating system, so it would give some problems to it. You can search on GitHub. There are many problems. Means in some apps the dark mode is not supported, or the pages loading of the pages is slow, and there are many kinds of errors, because at last it is not designed for that specific operating system. But the advantage is that the maintenance and the cost of developing is reduced, and you can use this technology for creating medium size apps, uh, because they generally are not too complex. But if you take an example of YouTube, so if you want to build a large app like YouTube, you would means you would generally choose native app development because it is faster, it is more responsive, and at last it's a big organization, so there is no chance of any error, or means you need customer satisfaction, so you would not take any chance, though there is more cost of the maintenance and development, but you need more responsiveness and more faster response. So it was just a simple you can say overview on the types of apps. So that's it. Bye.